of the state of New Jersey for his incredible service to our state, the Honorable Chris Christie. I want to thank him for his incredible service to the state. Who was more articulate, and who was a better example than the First Lady, Mary Pat Christie. I needed to start that way because I serve with incredible couples. And it's so difficult today in public service that we should never forget how important it is to have people with guts and leadership. And that's why I started by thanking the First Lady and the Governor. Thanks so much for everything you've done. And I know it's never easy. So thank you. Welcome to the Spirit of Daytop 2017 and the incredible honorees. Daytop is way ahead of this incredible problem that we've had in this state. So I want to thank Daytop, Jim Curtin, and all of you tonight. We know how difficult it's been, but they've just done an incredible job. It's a pleasure to introduce the Reverend Monsignor Kevin Flanagan from the DI. From Patterson.
Let us pray. Father, great God, we ask your blessing on this very special group of people tonight. We thank you for all those who are fellow men, for their generosity, loving kindness to neighbor. Bless this night Nelson Ferreira and Jon Sette, most worthy and deserving honorees. And bless their families. Keep them, Lord, always in your love and care. We pray tonight for our young people at Daytop Village, that they may enjoy good health in mind, body and spirit, and may receive renewed courage, strength, and perseverance from your presence here tonight. Lord, bless the staff and faculty at Daytop. May they continue their mission of compassion, love, and the utmost to the most vulnerable. We ask you, Lord, to bless everyone here and their families who support this most worthy cause. May God bless our Governor, who has done so much in raising awareness to the opioid addiction. Lord, continue to extend your healing grace and recovery to all in need. And we ask this in your name. Amen. Enjoy the evening.
They've also asked me to give you some procedural rules for tonight. Apparently they have placed a salad which you're permitted to eat, but the actual entree is going to be post the honoree and post the speeches. So during the course of these speeches, feel free to eat whatever in front of you, according to the notes I have. But before I begin, let me just say Morris County is not Morris County without the Bucco, Senator and Assemblyman Bucco, which I saw That's synonymous with Morris County, synonymous with service, and synonymous with love for the county, the Bucos. Thanks very much for your service. Next, I'm going to introduce the Mainstream Entertainment Group. But before we do that, we'd like to raise a toast to the 25th anniversary of Daytop. If you would just hold up your glass and join me in saluting 25 years of Daytop service and love to our community. God bless Daytop and all you've done. Mainstream Entertainment Group has been doing videos for Daytop for many years. It's my pleasure to introduce tonight's video produced by Mainstream. Maestro? Maestro?
Daytop, New Jersey, opening the doors of a 50-bed co-office.
Where's Nelson Ferreira? Where's he sitting? Is he right there? Let me just tell you, you should have been a movie actor. You kind of look like you'd be in The Longest Yard or something. You're a tough-looking dude. If you had been my friend in high school, man, I could have got out a lot of fights, man. Anytime. Let me tell you, and John said he could use you. Where's John? There's a generous person as well, but he's more the movie. You get the movie star look. I'm thinking you shouldn't give it up yet. So all of us, you know, you wake up in the middle of the night, you worry about things, and, you know, we all on the outside have confidence, but inside we struggle. We worry about our children, we worry about friends, we worry about colleagues. But there's one person you can turn to when you're worried about somebody who's addicted or has an opiate problem, and that's an angel. It's my pleasure to introduce one of the angels of our country, Jim Curtin.
This past Saturday, I was out in Long Island to visit my dad, just turned 88, in the assisted living facility where he lives out in Bohemia, and I can tell you my dad never refers to me as an angel. So, you know, I appreciate that, John, because God knows when I'm going to hear that introduction again. Thank you all for being with us tonight, and thank you for being a champion for those suffering with substance use disorders at a time when your support has never been needed more. Your support tonight will help us save lives and keep families whole. The opioid epidemic, the heroin epidemic, which is tearing through our state and through our country, is leaving countless families confronting death, terrible, tragic death. Countless families are left in its wake. Each and every day, the numbers are staggering. Your assistance is critical as we struggle every day at Daytop to keep up with the need. Thank you all so much for your generosity tonight. Congratulations to our two honorees, Nelson Ferreira and Jon Sette. John's been an old friend of Daytop, and John has done so much. The Sette family has done so much to help young kids and adults get on a solid path to recovery. Thanks to Nelson Ferreira, his team have become our new friends we hope to keep close in years ahead. The Ferreira team has worked tirelessly to make this night a success, a tremendous success. We're really appreciative of that. I also want to recognize our Gala committee, especially our chair, Larry Boresen from Turner Construction. I know Larry's out there here. Our committee, our Gala committee, works tirelessly, and they're critical to the success, starting off with evidenced by this room tonight, how full it is. I would like to take a minute to recognize the individual members on our Gala committee. Bob Anderson, Larry Boresen, Megan Carton, Todd Christie, John Crimi, Frank Criscola, Mark Devaney, Patty Filippo, Rob Donnelly, Father Mike Drury, Tom Hayes, Ken Mayer, Nick Maselli, John McCula, Nick Rassiopi, John Sette, John Schultz, Les Smith, Ernst Waxmuth, and Ted Zangari. This fundraising is a group effort, and without all of you, we can give them a hand. The fundraising is a group effort, and without all of you on that committee, we could not have been as successful as we've been walking into tonight. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. So in describing the success that this committee has been responsible for, as of today, walking into the room, we've raised over $825,000. However, we have a goal of $1 million. And luckily, later on in the program, we're going to give each and every one of you a chance at helping us to reach our goal. And because our honorees and our committee members have worked so hard, I have to extend an apology to those of you in the back of the room. We are literally bursting at the seams here tonight. The palace, I do believe, has to build us a bigger room for next year. We have several of our previous honorees here with us tonight as we also mark the milestone of Daytop, New Jersey's 25th anniversary. Dave Gockel and Langen Engineering is here. Peter Unanaway from Goya Foods is here. Pat DiFilippo and the Turner friends, so many of the Turner friends that have been our steadfast supporters. We recognize you. Les Smith and the Rockefeller Group. I'm also happy to see some old, steadfast, tried and true friends of Daytop that have been with us from the very beginning. Senator Bucco, Tony Bucco, thank you very much for your support for 25 years. And finally, we're honored to have Governor Christie with us this year in the room. Governor Christie has a long history of helping to support Daytop, and Governor Christie has been a pioneer fighting this opioid epidemic. Now, I know I'm stating the obvious when I say that because, friends, if you don't know that, that means you would have been asleep for the last 8 years. Mary Pat is with us, and we're appreciative of the entire Christie family, the help they've given for 25 years to the kids and the adults we serve at Daytop. We'll get to hear from the governor a little later on in our program. And now, moving the program along, I'd like to ask our first presenter, who will introduce our first nominee, Bob Anderson, to come up to the stage. And while Bob's coming up, I first met Bob 4 years ago when Les Smith introduced him. That was the year we were honoring Goya Foods. And I remember meeting Bob when he visited the kids at the Mendham campus and realizing right away, right off the bat, that Bob was taken up with the kids and that Bob wanted to help. And I must tell you, just saying that Bob has helped in these last 4 years make our signature fundraising events a success would be an understatement. I can tell you this, I remember when the Gala Committee got together in January, because this process started back in January, and each and every year we struggle to find honorees, and typically it's late spring or the summer, but I remember we had the first meeting in January, and within about 2 hours of the closing of that first meeting, our event planner, Mario Amelia, got a call from Bob Anderson, and he said, Nelson is in. And I was like, oh my God, this is miraculous. This is divine intervention. We have our honoree in January, which is really a wonderful thing. And then just before I asked Bob to come up and take the mic, this morning at 11:30, Mario Amelia called and said, Bob is still working at Jim. Do you realize he just called with another $15,000 donation? I mean, that's pretty incredible from day one to just today, Bob. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Again, thank you all for attending and supporting the Daytop mission. Truth be told, I can throw this away because Jim just took all the thunder out of my story. I had the privilege of introducing Nelson, our 2017 honoree, and I hope that you take a few minutes to read the bio that's in your program, because it's a great story. It's a story from humble beginnings in Harrison, New Jersey, to a time now when he's the CEO of 5 or so companies spread from California to Florida to Massachusetts to, of course, New Jersey, and in control of over 1,000 people. And that's pretty impressive. But my favorite part of the story in the bio was that he started with a single truck, a single Mack truck. And he still has that truck, fully restored, and that's a symbol of his journey. And the most symbolic part of that journey is he pulled the rear view mirror off the truck, and I don't know where it is, threw it out the window, it's in the back seat, but he pulled it away because his motto is never look back, keep looking forward. So Nelson's a friend of mine, we do work together, and we get together for dinner every once in a while, and we share war stories of construction in New Jersey, and what keeps us up at night, and what do we celebrate. But one thing I can tell you about Nelson is there's no reverse on Nelson. He doesn't need that rear view mirror. All gears are forward. He is full speed ahead, and there's no finish line in sight for him. So how did we get here tonight? Well, Jim just told the story. How we got here tonight is this evening is a heavy lift. There's a committee of 15 or so people that get together to put this evening together, and we work hard all year. And we celebrate tonight. We celebrate the achievements of Daytop. We celebrate the achievements of the students of Daytop. And of course, we celebrate your participation, and we really thank you for that. And that's it. We celebrate tonight, and we enjoy our holidays, and then come January, we got to go back to work. And it's a 12-month job to put this dinner together. And the first part of the job is we need an honoree, and who fits that bill? Well, it's somebody who has the conviction and the heart to lead the charge. They can't be oversubscribed to their own business and other things. That they need to put a lot of time in to this event. Are they dedicated to other causes? Many of our honorees are helping other causes throughout the year, and we understand that. Do they have the outreach to the business community? Can they be effective in cultivating the support that we see here tonight? And the list goes on. So we create so we all meet and we all throw our names in the hat on who could be good honorees, and as Jim said, we had our meeting on January 27th. Normally this takes about 3 to 6 months to come up with an honoree. I can remember talking about this in May or June. So we left the meeting about 9:30, and by 10:30 we had our honoree lined up. I called Nelson, and the instant response was, I'll do it. What do we need to do? When do we need to start? And that's Nelson. Full speed ahead. Forward gears only, no looking back. So Nelson, I'm thrilled to bring you up to the stage as our 2017 honoree. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
You got good enough.
There you go. You can use mine.
A picture? Okay.
Yeah, sure. Is there a picture?
We'll do it later.
No, we'll do it later.
Thank you.
Oh, here it is, over here. No.
I'm sorry. He's still bossing me around.
Thank you.
So only like 3 people have spoken. Half my speech is gone, so I'm gonna wing it. Well, Bob's version of the story and mine are a little different, just that when Bob called me, I thought he was going to finally give me this $20 million pile job in the airport. And he asked me to do Daytop. So I was like, crap, I took that call. So I immediately, that's the truth. I have to tell the truth, Father. And then I called my friend Todd Christie, because Todd and I have been talking about this for years. And I said, what do you think? He says, absolutely, I'll help you and I'll support you. So within an hour and a half, like you said, that's my version of the story, Bob, but that's how it happened. But I'd like to thank Daytop, and I'd like to congratulate also John Sette for his hard work, and I didn't realize how much you put into this place, John, through the years. So thank you. It's a pleasure of mine, and I'm honored to be your co-honoree. So thank you very much to John, all the Daytop people, everybody that does all the work in there every day. I'd like to thank my good friend, Monsignor Kevin Flanagan, and believe it or not, that was pretty short for him. So if you've ever been there on a Sunday, he can go a lot longer. But we love him. I'd like to thank my wife, my daughter Christina that's here, my daughter Alex and Nick are allegedly studying for finals, allegedly. They couldn't make it, so we're not gonna hurt them. My coworkers, family, friends, our business partners that are all here tonight, everybody that helped, thank you for supporting us, thank you for chipping in. Our insurance agents, our attorneys. I think I owe everybody in here an attorney money other than John Bramnick. Thanks, John. So thank you to all you guys. You made it happen, and thank you. You drive by that Daytop sign. I live in Chester. You don't realize, something good is going on back there. But when you pull into the back and you see those videos, you talk to those kids, those are our kids, and you talk to them, you listen to their stories. They're working, they're trying, they're stuck. They've all had a story, and it really just breaks your heart. And it's, from my first visit there, you get sucked in, and you talk to these kids. One kid is saying it's easier for him to buy drugs, any kind of drug, than to get beer. And I'm like, walk me through that. And so he's like, look, I just get on the phone, I call my dealer, he brings me drugs, like no matter where I am. They deliver like Domino's. If I need beer, I need a fake ID, I need to go to a store, I need somebody to drive me. It's so much more complicated. And when you listen to that, and I think about that a lot, it hurts. How do we get to this place? All of us here, I know my coworkers, in 3 years, and I just keep double checking, we've lost five families in our companies that have been affected by this disease, 5. And since I said yes to Bob, 2 kids have passed away. So just again, in our world, 5 kids. It's horrible. I don't know how we got here, but I know that I want to close and thank the governor for coming. I appreciate it. It really means a lot to me that you came. I can't believe you came, actually, but he's only got how many more days left? 42. So 42 more days, a little more time, he came. But he did tell me a year ago he was coming, so. But I'd like to thank you for the work that you're doing, you and Mary Pat, out front, out there. Those commercials are awesome. It ties into what I've learned and what I've seen. I'm proud of you, proud of what you guys do every day. Thank you, Governor Mary Pat. Thank you. Thank you.
As the governor says, he's governor until he's not governor. The warmth of Nelson Ferreira is the warmth of New Jersey. It's real, it's warm, it's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. That's really good, man. That's what I love. The struggle of addiction is an incredible journey, and to recover shows strength and determination. So it's my privilege and honor to introduce someone who did go through that struggle. You want to explain to us how she succeeded, Lisa Klein.
All right. Good evening. I stand before you tonight. Oh, fix the mic? Is this good for everybody? This is good? All right. Good evening. I stand before... Oh, okay. We're still working on this. This is good? This is good. All right. Okay. We got it this time. All right. Good evening. I stand before you tonight to not only share my story, but to share a message of hope to show recovery is possible. Growing up, my parents considered me their golden child. Anything I put my mind to, I was able to achieve. They used to say I could walk into any room and leave with a new friend. I was outgoing, smart, always wore a smile on my face. I was a good student. My parents always praised me on my successes, and they pushed me towards my goals. I envisioned my future as a bright one where I would grow up to become a doctor or a politician. Entering high school was when I first began to feel out of place. I had friends, but somehow I still seemed to feel alone when I was around them. I yearned for popularity and a sense of belonging, but no matter what I did, I still seemed to feel like I didn't fit in. I went from one group of friends to another until I met a group of people who told me they drank and used drugs. I was immediately intrigued and asked to join in, and they welcomed me. I distinctly remember the first time I got high. The only way I can describe the feeling is it was like a light switch flipped on in my head and told me to do it again. It was like something in me clicked and I no longer felt like an outcast. I was flooded with a feeling of ease and comfort. I felt like I belonged. I was only 14 years old, young and impressionable. I thought this is what would make me cool. I never thought this would be a pivotal moment in my life, but little did I know I would continue to chase this feeling every day for the next 2.5 years of my life. Although I believed my use to be normal, it was anything but that. My life changed before my eyes and I became someone almost unrecognizable. I went from being an honor roll student to no longer caring about school. That girl who once dreamed of accomplishing amazing things, my parents' golden child, was nowhere to be found. Drugs brought me to a place that is indescribable. They took over my life. They turned me into a person I never thought I could be. It started with smoking weed and drinking, but progressed to pills, cocaine, Molly, really anything I could get my hands on. I did things I told myself I would never do, but somehow the drugs convinced me that it was okay. I got in trouble at school. I stopped doing my work and I ditched class. I no longer cared about any of those things. In fact, I didn't care about anything but getting high. I put myself in situations where I could have died, getting in cars with people who were drunk, hanging out with people I didn't know, and taking any type of drug put in front of me, whether I knew what it was or not. Drugs convinced me that this is the person I wanted to be. It sounds crazy, but the grip that drugs had on me controlled my life. I didn't believe I had a problem. In fact, I thought it was everyone else who had the problem. Along my journey, I did therapy and also agreed to an outpatient program as a way to prove to everybody that I could stop and that I was normal, knowing I would go back to getting high right after it was over. I would stay sober for a few weeks, graduate the program, and resume my drug use as if I had never stopped. Except this time it got worse. I started to sell drugs to support my habit. With access to money and drugs, I was off to the races once again. My life continued to spiral out of control. My parents, who only wanted the best for me, put all their energy into getting me help. With the help of a social worker, they collected any evidence they could find, paraphernalia, pictures, drugs, anything I had left in my room. They used this evidence to bring me to family court, and the judge gave me an ultimatum. It was a juvenile detention center or Daytop, and I picked Daytop. Although mandated by the court, part of me wanted to go, knowing that living this life was over for me. Deep down, I wanted to stop fighting the people trying to help me the most. I recall sitting in my bedroom the night before I left for Daytop, thinking about what I was leaving behind. The thought of leaving the place I had called home my entire life terrified me. I was also scared to let anyone know that I was going, so I only confided in one friend. I knew she was the one and only friend who would support me going for treatment. I thought about running away so I wouldn't have to go, but something inside me told me I needed to go. I needed help. I couldn't continue to live this way. As angry and as fearful as I was also relieved. I was relieved that I no longer had to think about how I was going to get my next high. I didn't have to think about getting caught or arrested. I didn't have to lie or steal. I was exhausted with having to keep up this facade that I was okay. I could finally breathe, knowing that my life would no longer be dictated by the use of substances. After spending 6 months at Daytop, my personal commitment to recovery didn't stop. In fact, it was only the beginning. I had to continue to work every day if I wanted to stay sober. So I opted to go to a sober high school, realizing that going back to my old high school would expose me to more than I could handle. I also cut off multiple friendships with people I'd used drugs with. At first, I struggled to make new friends because not many people my age are sober, but before I knew it, everything in my life started to fall into place. Looking back, I now realize that going to Daytop was the event that probably saved my life. It's amazing to think about the changes that occurred during my time at Daytop. I gained my sense of self back. I was able to be a friend again. I gained my motivation to achieve back, but most important, I was able to be a daughter again. I think back to what I put my parents through. We fought every day. I wouldn't come home, leaving my parents to worry about where I was or what I was doing. I can't even begin to imagine what it's like to wonder whether or not your child will come home safe or if you'll receive a phone call saying they're in the hospital or dead. There's nothing more I value than my relationship with my family. I never realized what I had until I lost it, and now miraculously, I have it back again. It's been nearly 3 years since I first walked into the doors of Daytop, and I've come to understand I live a truly blessed life. I have my family in my life, amazing friendships, and I have a future that involves more than just getting high. Recovery has given me all of those things back, and it's made me a better person. I'm currently a sophomore at Rutgers University and living in the recovery house, which allows for sobriety and college, an unlikely combination to go hand in hand. Although I'm no longer that little girl who once dreamed of being a doctor or a politician, I have new ambitions, and I plan to pursue a degree in finance or accounting. Even though life puts new challenges in front of me every day, nothing will have been more difficult or more rewarding than getting sober. Nothing was easy by any means, but with pain comes growth, and every hardship has its rewards. At Daytop, I was given a second chance, and I'm now able to live the life I was meant to live. From the bottom of my heart, thank you, Daytop.
And as parents, nothing is more painful than watching your child suffer. It's my privilege to introduce the mom of a graduate of Daytop, Kathy Lewis.
Thank you. Can everyone hear me? Okay. Good evening. I'd like to first start out by telling you a little bit about myself. I'm a registered nurse who works with the developmentally disabled population. My husband, Ken, works in the IT department of a large chemical company. We've been married 27 years, and we have a 24-year-old son named Jeff. Jeff has always been quiet and more of an observer. Growing up, he played baseball. He's a talented musician and played trumpet in the high school band, as well as the guitar. Jeff had and still has a close relationship with his cousins and grandparents. If I had a crystal ball, I never in a million years would have guessed that our only child would become addicted to drugs. We don't have prescription pain medications in our medicine cabinets, and we barely even take Tylenol or Motrin for pain. Prior to our experience, I was one of those people who thought this won't happen to my child. We're good parents, and we instilled good values in our son. But boy, was I wrong. Addiction can happen to anyone, and it does not discriminate. The damage it does to your child and to those connected to him or her is inconceivable. Drugs take your loved one and turn them into someone that is unrecognizable. It all started towards the end of Jeff's junior year of high school. He started to change, but I thought it was just the behavior of a teenager acting out, so it didn't seem troubling at first. We also noticed that he started to hang out with new friends. By senior year, his behavior was more erratic, but again, it was hard for us to determine whether or not this was normal behavior. In October of his senior year, one of his new friends left a voicemail on my phone saying that he was worried about Jeff. He thought Jeff was depressed and smoking too much weed. I called the guidance counselor at the school, and she spoke with Jeff. Determined to catch this problem early, if there even was a problem, we went to a counselor as a family, and Jeff saw her individually as well. We continued trying to get him back on track. We were constantly arguing with him. There were many nights that Jeff didn't come home. My husband would drive around town to locate his car and then knock on the house to get him to come home. There were so many sleepless nights, and my husband and I had to still get up and go to work the next morning. All of this stress caused a strain on our marriage. My husband and I fought because we were at a loss as to what to do with our son, and we felt really alone. One night in April, Jeff came home and he didn't seem right. I asked him what was the matter, and he told me he took too much cold medicine. I immediately called poison control, and they instructed us to take him to the emergency room. They gave him charcoal to drink so the pills would pass out of his system quicker. They admitted him overnight and placed him on one-to-one observation, because his heart rate was so high. I was convinced that this incident scared him and taught him a valuable lesson. We so wanted to believe and trust him when he told us he wouldn't be a screw-up. I found that package of cold pills, and it turned out he took way more than 4. But since I still thought that I could fix him, I didn't mention it to the doctor. And that was my big mistake. In my gut, I knew Jeff had a drug problem. I just didn't know how big it was. As he was getting ready to graduate, things were not getting better. The school worked hard to get Jeff to graduate. We thought we were doing the right thing because we truly believed that things would change when we sent him away to college and if he was in a new environment. But in retrospect, we should have let him flunk out, but no parent wants to do that. When Jeff went off to college in Pennsylvania, he failed every class except for one. While home on Christmas break, I tried talking with him. 1 minute everything would seem fine, and the next it was like living with another person. But in January 2013, everything fell apart for Jeff. My husband was away in Buffalo for work. Jeff came home around 8 p.m. with no gas in his car, and he was very agitated. I could not reason with him. We argued because I would not let him take my car to go out. I knew he was on something. As we were arguing, I began to feel unsafe, so I locked myself in my room. And while locked in my room, he took my car. I kept calling on his cell phone and got no response. As I was getting ready for work at 4:30 a.m., I received a phone call from the Dunellen police that Jeff had been arrested for DUI and had a male passenger with him. They found 4 to 5 bricks of heroin in my car. He would be transferred to Middlesex County Jail. Our son was lost. It was one of the darkest times of my life. While I was so thankful that my son did not harm anyone or himself while driving that night, I was so scared for his future. My brother helped make a plan. We posted bail and he was released to us. But my brother, thank God, has had experience with addiction and felt that the only way for Jeff to have a chance would be to get him in an inpatient program. By the grace of God, we found Daytop. The structure that Daytop provided, along with a safe place away from drugs, was key to his recovery. As a family, we felt very isolated in our pain and grief. I remember not wanting to walk our dogs or go to the supermarket because I didn't know what people heard or knew about Jeff's arrest. I didn't want anyone to know that my son had a drug problem and that he had been admitted to Daytop. My husband and I participated in Daytop's weekly family meetings and learned we were not alone. I think that is the part that helped heal us as a family. We realized there are a lot of other families going through the same thing or even worse. We must do more to take away the stigma that our families face. Jeff completed pretrial intervention successfully in 2015, and he was able to have the heroin charge expunged. He lives with us and works full-time for a moving company as he figures out where he will go next. He paid his penalties and fines himself and continues to pay the student loans from his semester at college. He's been clean for almost 4 years, and he's been dating a wonderful girl from Daytop who he became friendly with after they were discharged. I pray every day for Jeff's future and that he continues on a path that keeps him healthy, happy, and drug-free. Today, I'm so thankful that heroin didn't take my son's life. There are too many good kids who are dying from this evil drug every day. My heart breaks for the parents of these children. My hope is that people struggling with addiction will get help without judgment so that they can be given a second chance at turning their lives around. Thank you for all your support.
After hearing from Kathy, there's no question why Governor Christie's on radio and television every day, reaching out to families that are lost and struggling. So once again, Kathy, thank you so much for telling the story, which is so difficult, and thank you so much, Governor, for leading that to reaching out to families such as Kathy's family. Before I introduce our next guest, I do want to say that John Sette's
where is John? You know, John's warmth, both as a friend and a supporter at Daytop, is special to me. This is someone in today's world, when you talk about friendship, he defines friendship. He's with you through thick and thin. He stays with goals. He's done that with everyone who's been his friend. So I need to thank him personally for inviting me tonight, thank him for his friendship and his loyalty, and loyalty is a rare commodity in today's society. So thank you, John Sette, a friend and John Crimi, who's been defined as Mr. Generosity, serves on the executive committee, has been an incredible friend at Daytop, and an incredible human being. It's my privilege to introduce a friend of Daytop, a friend of our society, John Crimi.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Kathy. Thank you, Nelson. Thank you, John. Thank you all for being here. Gotta get a lasso around this mic. Well, I have a couple jobs to do. After the tremendous witnessing you've experienced here at this moment, mine's a little bit lighter. Some are gonna really like me, and some are gonna really hate me, because I'm here to fund the mission, or, better yet, to have an auction. Could you kill these spotlights that are on, if there's any possibility, or cut them down a bit? Thank you. My first job is to give you a Father Joe Hennon report. Now, Father Joe is the founder of Daytop 25 years ago. There's not too many people here remember Father Joe as the generations go on. Father Joe has leukemia. He's in 100% remission, which is good news. He had been bitten by a mosquito 2 years ago now in Minnesota, and he picked up West Nile encephalitis, and he's suffering with that, with a cough and great fatigue. And other than that, he's doing pretty good. So I think they're going to play a video of Father Joe. Is that so? All right, let's see Father Joe up here. And by the way, he sends his love and prayers to all of you for the continued support, because his mission has been the love and care of these young kids from the very beginning. So Father Joe.
Thank you very much, John, for the wonderful introduction on Daytop 25th. I really wish I could be there, but health and age just doesn't permit me to leave old Minnesota for wonderful New Jersey. You know, today we celebrate the common ground that we're all working. Some of us are just joining Daytop right now. Some of us have been members for 25 years. Either way, we are working. That which we hear in the news every day, that the opiate epidemic is the greatest that could ruin our country. You have been and you are working every day, where 100% of your donation is going to fight the opiate epidemic, mainly to help kids. And so this is what 25 years are made of. Not an institution, but people who are helping other people, most especially the kids of New Jersey. Thank you very much. I wish I could be with you. Have a wonderful time, and please fund the mission for the future.
Well, thank you, Father Joe. As you can see, Father Joe has lost a lot of weight, trying to gain some, but he's still Father Joe. So, Monsignor Puma, Father Joe believed in one basic foundation, and that's mission first. All of you tonight have heard the mission, but they always said mission first, then comes the money. So now we have to have the money to fund the mission. Jim Curtin, you didn't realize it, but we're at $843,000, which is fantastic, which is a few more thousand than you thought. We need to break $1 million. That's not going to be a problem. I don't see it. Maybe you don't see it, but I see it just fine out there. You know, there isn't one person in this room that doesn't have a family member, a friend of a family that's not suffering from the disease of alcohol and drug addiction, all of us in our own families, whether it's a child, an aunt, an uncle, a cousin, a friend, anyone. We all have the suffering of this dreaded disease. And our governor was one person that knew that marijuana is a gateway drug. And unfortunately, it's not going to be that way anymore. But marijuana is a gateway drug, and in Eva's, we see it every day. They see it in Daytop. So we have to fight that in this state. Well, I'm going to tell you about Fund the Mission. First of all, see this little heart? Everyone, I hope tonight, is going to have a little heart. Once you give, you get a heart. Now, we're going to start way up here, and then we're going to be down to $100 to help a child get fed for one day. So everybody's going to have a chance to participate. And at the end of this, you see that crew? Where's that crew we had over there? We had about 20 people that are going to come around, and when you raise your hand on a bid, they're going to take your name down, and we're not doing a bid pal or a text to pledge. We're doing it the old-fashioned way. We're going to pin you with a heart. You're going to raise your hand. We're not going to point you out or make a spectacle of you. We're just going to want you to give quietly, but have a heart. So that's how it works. Now, a lot of you are in the construction business here. And just as some of you heard me say before, I'm a Sicilian. I'm in the concrete business, and 1 yard fits all sizes. Don't let that bother you when I ask you for money. Now, the next part of this, you see this collar here? This is Father Joe's collar. So not only do we have the power of prayer, we have the power of concrete. So all of this is going to help us now, with the seriousness of the mission, to have fun and you open up your wallets. So the first thing I thought of is I got to pick a good Irishman that could come up here and help me sing like John Harrington or someone like that. And I love John. He's like a brother. But no, I said I have to dig deeper. I have to get another Sicilian who's laid back, quiet, like a wallflower, someone who doesn't, push it too hard. So I looked around the room, and guess what? I saw one right in front of me. Governor Chris, you want to come help me? Here's your weapon.
Thank you.
Okay. Here's your list.
All right.
Start it. 1 second. Fine.
Shy and retiring.
All right. First, could I? Wait a minute. Let's see. How does this get put on here?
Here.
Well, they'll put it on here. Just fix that there. Thank you very much. First of all, could we bring Governor Chris a heart? Because I know he wants to be the second one to have a heart on.
That's right.
There you go, Governor.
All right.
All right. It's a moment for fun. Take your time. All right, so get ready. The first one we're going to do is $25,480. There's a lot of feedback on the mic. If you can take care of that, please. And $25,480 provides one child with 3 months of care. And why did we pick that? Because in the business of drug and alcohol addiction, unless you have at least 3 months under your belt, the statistics of success are very, very slim. So that's it. So, Governor, you want to see us out there for?
Yeah, no, the 25,480, because his speech was so great and so short, one of the penalties for giving, and definitely not you, Father, but one of the penalties for giving a great short speech is you got to give more money. Nelson, you should, I know you've done a lot tonight, but you got to do this. You're sitting next to me, you got to do the 25. Will you do the 25 for me, Nelson? There you go. We got the 25 from Nelson Ferreira.
All right, what a way to start. Who else do we have for 25,84480? Raise your hand anywhere in the room. 25,480. Raise your room and raise your hand. There's another one over there. All right, that's two.
Thank you.
Another one. Another one at 25. All right, Governor, let's get down to 20,000.
All right, those are the scholarships, right, John?
Right.
So $20,000, that $20,000 will give scholarships for 2 students to attend Daytop School for the duration of his or her stay. This is so important for these kids. We do not want them to just be getting treatment and to fall behind on their education. The great opportunities they're going to have when they get out and they're sober and healthy is to continue on to get a great education and have a great career, whatever they choose. So that $20,000 pays for 2 students to have a year-long, for the length of their stay, to have a scholarship to go to the Daytop Academy.
All right, 20,000. Who's raising their hand? One in the back there. We got a heart. 20,000 in the back. Who else for 20? $20,000. Come on.
There we go. There's another lady right back there for 20.
Right over here.
Thank you.
20,000. Come on, anybody on this side of the room? You know, I can see you all back there.
That's right.
Don't think you're out of it. $20,000.
Listen, John, if we...
We have 325.
3?
Did you say that again? We have 325, 480s, and how many 20s? 3 20s or 2? 2.
2?
All right, let's move to the next one.
All right. The next one is $15,000. That'll be food for 15 of the children who live at Daytop for 6 months. So 15, so we do that.
$15,000. Let's start this off, $15,000. We have someone for 15. 15.
Come on.
Don't make them go hungry there. John Harrington, $15,000.
Thank you, John.
Who else do we have?
15,000.
One more for 15. 15,000 anywhere. I can't see.
Come on, I'm looking. I see it. You know what we should do? What? I've got like 3 troopers here. Let's send them in the back. All right. Let's send the troopers in the back and they'll like encourage people. I want to remind the people in the back that the troopers who are coming in the back are armed. They are armed. So we'll send a few of those guys in the back and just take a look.
All right, any more for 15,000? We'll move along to 10,000.
All right, 10,000 is 2 scholarships for 2 homeless and indigent young women for a year of treatment. So 10,000 will be 2 scholarships for 2 young women who are homeless and indigent. We got one right there from John Bramnick. Thank you, John.
All right, John Bramnick. 10,000 over there.
Thank you, John.
We got 2 over there.
There you go.
2 over there. 2 over there. Anybody over here? 10,000. We got 2 here. 2 for 10. Another one in the front.
Here we go. Another one there.
10,000.
Another guy right there.
$5. Another one over there. 10,000. Come on, more 10,000s. It's rolling. 10,000.
Yep.
What? We're going slow.
Hey, you'll find it hard to believe that Nelson is telling us how to raise the money. Thank you, Nelson.
Nelson,
Yep.
Any more for 10,000 here? 10,000. Anybody in the back for 10,000? We got another one over here for 10. Anybody back $10,000?
Right up here, right in
There's
front.
another one back there for 10,000.
Thank you, sir.
Mary, back there in the corner, 10,000. All right, Governor, what's next?
All right. Thank you, everybody. The next one is $7,500. That'll provide 6 months of activities for the kids. And so basketball, yoga, equine therapy, all things that can help the kids work through their treatment and be able to stay healthy physically, which is incredibly important. A lot of times when they come in, their health, as you might imagine, is in awful shape. And so these type of centering activities for the kids, like basketball, like yoga, like equine therapy is great. So $7,500 will get 6 months of that therapy for the kids who come into Daytop. So who wants to start at $7,500? Yes, sir, right there. Thank you.
7,500. 7,500.
Yes, sir. John, thank you, John.
Here. You know how important this is? Because when the kids come in, especially the girls, they have no self-esteem. And you know why they don't have self-esteem? Because their boyfriends have sold them for sex and other things for money to buy drugs for them. And the girls come in most damaged of all. So it's very important to have these simple type of activities for the girls to come in and reclaim their lives. So it's important. $7,500. Who's got their hand up for $7,500? We got quiet.
Well, let's go to 5 then.
What, you want to go to 5?
Yeah.
I could just start a concrete truck.
Yeah, no, 5,000. Here we go. So 5,000 will pay for 1 child to participate. 5. There we go. Thank you.
Dave Gockel.
Dave Gockel, thank you. In the back corner there, another 5,000 there. Another one right there. Another one right there. Tom Scribble and Mary Pat's doing it too. Scrivo, Maduno, Mary Pat, way to go. Yeah. She said, despite the fact that I'm going to be unemployed in 42 days, she's doing 5,000.
Les Smith, 5,000.
Les, thank you, Les.
5,000. Who else is back there for 5? Back there.
There we go. We got one right back there in the back.
Back in the back.
Yep.
Another one for 5,000. All right, next, Governor.
All right, so next, I'm just reading from the script here. Next, it has $2,500, and it has absolutely nothing next to it, which means I'm going to have to make up something right now that $2,500 will pay. So here's what will happen. You give $2,500 now. I am confident that Curtin, who is responsible for this list and having nothing next to it. So for $2,500, I'm sure that Curtin is going to be able to make sure that parents will be able to come to their family counseling missions and their sessions for 6 months. That for 6 months, that'll pay for families, for 2 families to be able to come to those counseling sessions, which are so important. The Buccos are going for it. Thank you very much, Senator, Assemblyman.
Come on, 2,500. There's a whole bunch of hands going.
There we go. 2 more there.
2,500 in the back. 2,500.
Yes, and all the way in that back corner right there. 2,500. Right up front. Thank you, sir.
2,500. Come on, we got to do better at the 2,500 level.
Come on, you should give 2,500 just because I was able to make that up on the spot. Come on.
Last year's number, 2,500.
All right, John Sette Sr. will go for 2,500. Way to go.
I didn't know there was a junior there.
Yes.
Senior, junior, all right. All right, next.
All right, next is
$1,000.
$1,000. So one child can participate in the Music for Recovery program. This music is incredibly important, and there's evidence that they use at Daytop, that developed at Daytop, that this music helps the brain heal and reaches areas that are linked to addiction. This is really important. $1,000 will let a child go through music therapy during their stay at Daytop. Who's willing to do $1,000 for the music therapy? Right in the front, there. Wow, look at this. This table is killing it right over here.
Go troops.
Way to go.
Troops. Go get those hearts on.
All right over here. We're going to need like a crew of people right up here in the front. This table over here is taken care of. Then back at my brother's table. We'll go. There's another one. 2, 3. Tremendous. 4. Way to go.
Keep your hands up. Give the people a chance to get around.
It's really good. It's a good problem. We don't have enough people putting on hearts. Too many people want them. That's good for us. Anyone else for the $1,000? Put your hand up for music therapy. Excellent. That's a great response. We appreciate that very much. Next one, John.
Anybody else for 1,000 before we move? Any other hands?
Yes, there's another one right there, right in the middle of the room. $1,000. Thank you.
Okay. All right, Governor.
There we go. All right. Next is $500. $500 will pay for life skills training for 4 young adults for 1 month. Really important to make sure that these young men and women are not only getting the drug addiction therapy they need, but they get life skills so that when they go out, they can resume their lives in a way that'll be worthwhile for them and help them to support themselves. So $500 will take care of 4 adults for a month. Who wants to go for $500? Get a heart. Right up here in front.
500.
Right there, 500.
500.
2 more, 3 more 500s right there.
500.
Keep your hands up there, guys.
$500.
Who else? $500 in the back corner there. Thank you.
Mary, have them lower the lights down a little. I want to see the hearts blinking more, please.
Anyone else for the life skills training?
Got some hands up over here.
$500. Got more over there. Make sure we get them over there.
500.
Right up in front at the Ferreira table.
$500. You know, this is more like an auction, but what are we actually auctioning off? We're auctioning off the ability to save a young child's life. There is nothing that could be more powerful than that. For all of the people here that go to auctions and want something tangible, you are getting something tangible. You're getting the opportunity to save a life. That's about as tangible as it gets.
Anyone else for $500 for the life skills training? All the way in the back here on my left.
There
we go.
Back.
Keep your hand up there. Excellent. 10 500s over here. Excellent. 10 500s. John Bramnick can do that math. He'll be over there. That'll be great. The 10 500s.
All right.
All right. Next, everybody. $250 pays for 1 day of residential care. $250, 1 day of residential care for a young man or woman. What do we have for $250? Right there in the back, sir, right there. Here we go, $250 there. $250 there, and next we have a few folks back there. Excellent, who else? Okay, back in that corner over there. Anybody else for $250?
There's some hands over there for $250 by the chandelier in the back. $250.
1 day of residential care for $250.
There's another $250.
All right.
In the front. Another $250.
Young lady right there for $250.
There's the whole table at $250.
There we go. That entire table at $250. Thank you.
$250.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Take it to 100.
Excellent. All right. All right. Last but not least, because every dollar here counts tonight. Every dollar counts to help these young men and women and help us fund the mission. $100 now for anybody who wants to give $100. That will be enormous help as well, and to help our kids and help Jim and the team do it. So
back there's a whole bunch of hands.
There we go. We got a whole bunch of $100 hands. Look at that. Let's get all those folks. Who else is at 100?
$100.
$100 in this middle. At this middle table right here. Yes, sir. Right over there. That'll be $100. Who else wants to be at $100? Lori Griffin right up here.
We're doing it, Monsignor. $100.
Here we go. Who else has got hearts?
Another hand up over here.
Right up in front. Here we go. Come on over here. We got a $100 person right over here.
There's $100 right. He's got two 100s right here.
Yep.
You got a couple over here, folks. A couple 100s right here.
Excellent. All right. Yep. Last shot so that we can try to have almost everybody in this room and everybody in this room have a heart on tonight. $50 will feed a child at Daytop for 1 day.
$50.
$50 will feed a child. $50 will feed a child for 1 day at Daytop. Who wants to put their hand up for $50? $50. Right here. Up in front. Who else for 50?
50 in the back. Who do we have in the back? There's some hands up in the back.
There's a gentleman right in the back. We saw him. $50, please. We'll feed a child for 1 day at Daytop.
Mary, can we kill the lights for a second? Look around the room, folks. The room is blinking.
That's right. Look around the room.
And guess what's blinking? A heart. The love of helping these kids. Your hearts are blinking for the kids. Great job, everyone.
Thank you for helping us fund the mission, everybody. Thank you.
God bless you.
You're going to stay up here now, and John, you want me to take these?
All right, everybody. All the blinking hearts. Can I have everybody's attention, please?
No.
Have everybody's attention, please. All right. We have our final honoree to introduce tonight. And I would love to have your attention because you need to hear his story. Thank you all very much. I appreciate it. Now, there's been a lot of kind things, generous things said about me tonight and about Mary Pat and our commitment to this cause. But I'm honored to be up here tonight to introduce the person who introduced me to this cause.
In 1995, I was a 32-year-old brand new freeholder in Morris County. And one of the folks who had been a promoter of my candidacy and encouraged me to go on the freeholder board then told me, here's what you need to do once you get there. You need to go up to Daytop Village and you need to go see Father Joe Hennon. I went up and I saw Father Joe, and I've told this story all over this country, from one end of the country to the other, from the White House to treatment centers all over America, that when I went up to Daytop that day, and it looks significantly different today than it did then. And I see Anthony Bucco smiling. We both remember the leaky roofs and the disrepair that the place was in back in the mid-1990s, and how there were moments where, but for the grace of people like John Crimi and the Ferguson family, that we may not have been able to keep the doors open. And I went there to see Father Joe Hennon, and I took the tour of the place, and at the end of the tour, he said to me, Chris, you're going to want to be involved in this place for the rest of your life. Now, at 32 years old, you're thinking to yourself, how could he possibly know, and how could I know? And he said to me, I said to him, Father, with all due respect, why do you think I'm going to want to be involved in this place for the rest of my life? And he said, because you're going to learn that Daytop is where God makes miracles happen on earth. And if you listen to the young lady who spoke to us tonight, and the mother who spoke to us tonight, you know that what Father Hennon told me 22 years ago is even more true today. Daytop is a place where miracles happen each and every day, and we see God's hand and his work every day at Daytop, saving lives and changing lives for people. I would have never had the experience of knowing that and had the cause that I've had for the last 22 years if it wasn't for the persistence and the passion of my friend and tonight's Silver Star honoree, John Sette, the chairman of the board at Daytop Village. John Bramnick mentioned before, when he was discussing John, he mentioned his loyalty. And I think for anybody who knows John well and has been lucky enough to become his friend, as Mary Pat and I have been lucky enough to become friends with he and Kathy over the last over 25 years, we feel incredibly fortunate to have that relationship in our lives, and the literally thousands of families who have come through Daytop during that period of time may not know it. But the reason that place is still there and has grown to the size it's become is because of the passion and the loyalty of people like John. And so there's no silver bullet to fix this problem. 64,000 people died in the United States last year of an overdose. More than all those who died from handgun violence and automobile accidents combined. We have a death toll in this country that equals September 11th every 2.5 weeks. 175 people in America are dying a day of overdose. I see all those hearts flashing, and it represents the money that you've all contributed. How much do you think we would pay if a terrorist organization was coming into our country and killing 175 Americans a day on our own soil? This country would say we would never permit it, and we would spend and do whatever we needed to do. That's what's happening. We're doing it to ourselves every day. And our country needs to come to grips with that. And the way people are going to know it is if we all start speaking out and marching and demanding that treatment become available for everyone who needs it, and that we clamp down on the people who are profiting from poisoning and killing our fellow citizens. John Sette's been speaking out for 25 years on this problem. 25 years ago, when very few people were saying anything, John was saying it. And I know John knows this because he got the same talks from Father Hennon that I did. The first thing I thought about when I saw him go up on the video, I turned to Mary Pat and I said, he's hitting people up for money because he's got the collar on. Father Joe would almost never wear his collar. Almost every time I saw him, he was in some other type of casual attire. But when I would drive up to Daytop and he had the collar on, I knew it was over. It was just like, take your wallet out, and he's going to be asking you for money. And I see a whole bunch of folks who served on the Daytop board with me when I was on the board, others who have joined since then. You know that I'm telling you the truth, those folks who have been with us for a long time. When Father Joe puts the collar on, Father Joe's getting your wallet, and he's doing it because of the young men and women he wanted to save. And John Sette has been at the forefront of that for the last 25 years. Daytop Village is there today because of John and the people that John has recruited to the cause. And we owe him, as do families all over this state, an enormous debt of gratitude. There's no one that I've met at Daytop over the last 22 years that is more deserving of this award tonight than my good friend and the chairman of the board at Daytop Village, John Sette.
Wow, and I'm standing between you and dinner. I just want to thank all of you for being here tonight. I want to thank all the past honorees, Nelson, Ioannaways, our friends at Langen Engineering, our friends at Public Service Electric and Gas, Rockefeller Group, all of you guys. You're here every single year for us. But I also would be remiss if I didn't thank my son and his friends that are here, these younger guys that are now Daytop family members. Drew Dosher from BTIG. Look up BTIG Charity Day. Every year, they raise tens of millions of dollars on one day with their celebrity clients and give it to charity. And they put Daytop in this year. Drew, thank you so much. Bill Mulligan from Baycrest Partners. Thank you, Bill. We can't wait for you guys to come back next year. And of course, my son from Anchorage Capital Advisors, thank you. And his lovely wife, Nikki, and my wife, Kathy, and Donna, and Aaron, thank you so much. I also want to thank all the unions, from the electrical workers to Pete Stratemeyer and all the building trades that built the school for us. That $8 million school cost us $2 million. And that was all donated. And Turner Construction was the construction manager, and John Crimi, we know that he didn't charge us for the concrete. John, thank you so much. And I also want to thank John Bramnick. I invite him every year, and every year he writes us a check. John, thank you. But I want to thank Governor Christie and his wife, and Todd Christie and his wife, and the Christie family, their dad Bill. They have been here for 22 years. And we have gotten about $2 million from the Christie family and their friends. So I want to thank you. And now you add Nelson in there, that's $3 million. So Chris, Todd, Mary Pat, everybody, thank you. Again, thank you so much, and make sure you come back next year. We need your help. Thank you.
Enjoy dinner. Have a great night. Thanks for everything. God bless.